This is Pirates of the Caribbean for viola. We're going to look through a few things that are important in this music before I play through the whole song. First of all, you do have a lot of different dynamic changes in here. A lot of times it goes with the tempo. So you can see at the beginning we're a little bit slower. We start out mezzo piano. So for those mezzo piano sections or piano sections, we need to make sure we're using really light bows, staying away from the frog, and playing close to the fingerboard. So that it's smooth and doesn't stand out. You also have a lot of mezzo fortes, fortissimos. Anytime that we have a stronger dynamic, make sure we're staying a little bit lower in the bow, especially for these marcato sections or accents. The marcato, you see it at measure 8, you see it again at measure 35 and 43. To play these notes, we want to add some force, almost like an accent. So don't use too much bow. You don't want the notes to sound too connected. So just heavy, make sure it doesn't sound too smooth. In, let's see, measure 62, this is down in the 3-4 section where it says the black pearl. It's your last line. You have a lot of repeated notes here. Make sure we're only playing 3 notes for a couple measures. It's D, E flat, so a low 1 on D, and then an F natural, so a low 2. So you should make sure that first finger is back behind the tape, and then there's a space, a whole step between your first and second finger. The bowing here is down, lift. And they're staccato, so you want to keep them really short. Then the fourth measure changes. Then the next measure, we have quarter notes. On that first quarter note, you're going to pull, so you're about halfway out the bow. The next 2 notes are both still 1 beat, but now they're both in the same bow, but they're staccato, so you're going to play up, up, with a little pause between the 2 notes. So down, up, up. When we get to measure 93, towards the end, this is where you'll see some of these accents. Make sure any accented notes, you see them at 78. They're at 93, your very last note. Make sure those are low in the bow. You add a lot of weight when you pull. So that note really pops out. Some notes that you need to be very careful with in this whole piece. So between 8 and 43, or more 8 and 27, you have some high 3s. If you look 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, you see you have that C sharp. So C sharp is a high 3. You can play it with that third finger above the tape. Or you can keep your third finger in place and set a low 4. So the fourth finger would be right next to the third. It's the same way to play this. It's 2 ways to play the same note. If you are playing the low 4, if the next note is D, then you have to play open. If we're playing a high 3, then when you go to play the D, you can add your fourth finger and avoid a string crossing. So anytime you get to these C sharps, you have the choice. High 3 if you cross over to open D, or low 4, and then you can use a fourth finger for your D. If we jump ahead to our second page, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down. So it's the line before 110. In that second measure where it says mezzo piano, your first note is a C sharp. So C sharp, you can't play open C. We have to make it a half step higher, so it's going to be a low 1. So low 1 for C sharp, the next note is an E, so it's a high 2. So you're going to have a big stretch there because it's essentially a whole step and a half step. And then 3 measures later, you have A, B flat, B natural. So we're going to play first finger, low 2, high 2. And then the last line, the third measure, you have a B flat in that measure. So low 1 back behind the tape on the A string, and then it'll be a stretch up to that third finger on the tape. For the beginning, the tempo is 60. When I play through the whole thing, I'm going to play it at 60. And at measure 4, our goal speed is 96. For this recording, I'm going to play it at 88. At measure 52, I will play it at 60, which is the goal speed. And then measure 60, goal speed is 162. Realistically, we're not going to get that fast. And then measure 76 is supposed to be 170. Again, we're not going to play it that fast, but we do want to try to push our tempo faster. For this recording, so that you can see and hear everything and understand the rhythms, I'm going to play it at 100. Remember at the beginning, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. Violins play 4 and then every other instrument comes in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. All right, and now here we're at 4, so we're going to increase the speed. Again, goal is 96. Right now I'm going to play it at 88. All right, so starting in measure 8, 1, 2, 3, 1. Measure 52 is going to be back down at 60. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, All right, now at 60, I'm going to set it to 100. Remember, our goal speed is going to be much faster. All right, so starting again at 60. 1, 2, 3. 3, 1.